Morning everyone, Miss Porter here again. So today you are going to be retelling the story of the catch. Just the first 3 paragraphs today, and then tomorrow you'll be writing the next 3 paragraphs. Okay, so we're going to look at the different sections that we did yesterday. We're going to look at a waggle, and we're going to look at some success criteria for you to include. Okay. So I would love to see all of these in your writing, and these are all the things that you've learnt in year 3. So it might look like a lot, but I imagine that you'll hopefully remember what each of those are. If not, I've written some examples on this side, so I'll just go through them quickly. So we've got fanboys, which are your conjunctions, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Then we've got I saw a wabub, which is our subordinate conjunctions, if, since, as, when, although, while, after, before, until, and because. So think about as well what we did on Monday. So we looked at subordinate clauses, didn't we? So you could include some of those in your writing too. Expanded noun phrases, which you are all amazing at. I would love to see some of those. So for example, the ghastly orange fox ran away from the boy. And remember, it's adjective, adjective, noun, but separate those adjectives with a comma, okay? And you could extend it further, so you might say the ghastly orange fox with white tufts of hair at the top of his head ran away from the boy. So again, you just add in a little bit more information. An example of a simile, the boy was as brave as a lion. So you're comparing it to something else. Metaphors, the fox had a heart of gold. Fronted adverbials. In the distance, a fish rose from the water. Just remember to put that comma after that fronted adverbial. Okay? Ambitious language. When the night began to fade, the outraged young boy focused on retrieving the fish that he had so desperately sought. So that sounds so much better than just saying the boy caught the fish, doesn't it? You add in a little bit more detail, more adjectives, and ambitious language. Full stops and capital letters. You know what those are, but I've just put in a little full stop there to remind you. Commas for lists. So you're separating those ideas using commas. All the boy wanted to do was eat his tea, listen to the waves, feel the sun in his face, and relax by the pond. Commas for contractions. Cannot becomes can't. Do not becomes don't. Will not becomes won't. Okay, and using that comma to show where the words or letters are missing. Commas for possession. It was the boy's fish. So the fish belongs to the boy. And therefore we've got an apostrophe just before the S. Okay. Correct tense. Was, is, and will. So it depends whether you're writing in the past tense, the present tense, or the future tense. Personification, the flowers danced in the wind. So you're making those flowers sound like they're human. Prepositions, telling somebody where something is. In, on, under, below. Okay, it's telling them where it is. Adverbs, you're describing the verb. So for example, the fish swam rapidly to the shore. You're describing how he swam. Correctly punctuated speech. Come here, shouted the boy to the fox. So we've got inverted commas around the part which is being said. So come here. Using a or an correctly. So you use a when you've got a consonant at the start of the following word, and you use an when the next word starts with a vowel. A fish, an orange, a fox, an aubergine. Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot there, but it's all things that we have learnt in year 3. So the more of those that you include, the more impressed I'm going to be. Okay. So we're going to look at paragraph 1 first of all. And I have done a waggle for paragraph 1. I've not done it for paragraph 2 or paragraph 3, because I thought I'll just do paragraph 1 and you can use that as a basis as to what we're looking for. Remember, this is your time to really, really impress us. Okay, so I've just done that as a little bit of a basis, but I'll go through it first of all. So just like yesterday, you've got the questions at the side, which I want you to include in your paragraphs. So I want you to write about where the boy is, what is happening, why, and how does he feel. But I've also done some little stars underneath that with some ideas of what you could include in that paragraph. So if you make sure you're doing each of these for each paragraph, then you'll have covered all of the success criteria by the end. Okay, so in paragraph 1, I would like to see a fronted adverbial, an expanded noun phrase, ambitious language, and a fanboy. Okay, so I'll just go through the waggle then that I've done for paragraph 1 first of all. So, amongst the bright green trees, a distressed-looking boy was sitting with his head rested on his leg. His eyes were gazing into the pond in front of him, whilst his fishing rod danced slowly from side to side. The boy was waiting eagerly for his tea to jump out at him, whilst his stomach called for the fish to come home. All of a sudden, the boy saw his fishing rod jolting into the water, and his eyes widened with anticipation. As he struck the metal pole with a splash, a bright orange fish appeared on the end of the dwindling string. Carefully, the boy placed the slippery fish into a bowl that had been sitting empty for what felt like years. Finally, he thought, I am going to be eaten like a king tonight. So that's a waggle for the first paragraph. So in that paragraph, I've tried to include quite a lot of the success criteria. So amongst the bright green trees, we've got an expanded noun phrase. A distressed looking boy, that's an ambitious word choice, was sitting with his head rested on his leg. So I'm writing in the past tense in this instance. So was sitting, not is sitting or will be sitting, I've used was. His eyes were gazing into the pond. So again, I've used an ambitious word. Rather than just saying his eyes were looking, I've used his eyes were gazing into the pond. In front of him, preposition, whilst his fishing rod danced slowly from side to side. So I've used a little bit of personification in there by saying that his fishing rod was dancing. So you can sort of envision that his fishing rod is moving from side to side. And then I've got an adverb in there as well, explaining how the fishing rod is dancing. The boy was waiting eagerly for his tea to jump out at him. Do you think his tea is actually going to jump out at him? Okay, so that's an example of a metaphor or personification once again. Whilst his stomach called for the fish to come home. Now, his stomach wouldn't actually be calling for the fish. So again, that is an example of a metaphor. Okay? All of a sudden, fronted adverbial, I've put a comma afterwards, the boy saw his fishing rod jolting into the water. His eyes widened with anticipation. So again, in that sentence, I've tried to include quite a lot of ambitious language. His eyes widened with anticipation. As he struck the metal pole with a splash, comma, because I've got a fanboy in there, haven't I, at the start of my fronted adverbial. As he struck the metal pole with a splash, a bright orange, expanded noun phrase, fish appeared on the end of the dwindling string. An ambitious word, dwindling. Carefully, comma, adverb, the boy placed the slippery fish into a bowl that had been sitting empty for what felt like years. So again, I've got a simile there, haven't I? Because I'm saying it felt like years. Finally, he thought, I am going to be eating like a king tonight. So I've got a simile there. I am going to be eating like a king tonight. It's comparing it to eating like a king. Okay, so that's an example of what I would like to see your first paragraph looking like. Now, I don't want you to copy this one because I know you could write it so much better. You could do an amazing one, okay, which is what I want to be reading. I'm going to look at paragraph 2 for next and just see what you'll be writing about for that one. So paragraph 2 is about the distress caused by seeing the fox. What is happening to the fox? Why is he tied up? How does he feel? How does the boy feel? What does the boy do? So just like we've written in our planning, in our storyboard planning, you're going to be answering those questions, okay? And again, I want you to include an expanded noun phrase, a simile, I saw a WABERB, and ambitious language. So make sure that you are constantly referring back to your plan, okay? Because there were lots of amazing ideas in those plans. So it's very important for you to keep looking back at that to see what you've already written about. And that will help you with your writing. Paragraph 3, the boy's anger at the fox stealing the fish. What does the fox do? Why does he do this? How does the boy feel? What does the boy do? How is the fox feeling? And how are they moving? And then in this paragraph, I want you to try and include an expanded noun phrase, a metaphor, a simile, fanboy, I saw a WABERB, and ambitious language. So there's quite a lot of criteria to fit in this one, but this one will probably be your longest paragraph because it's about the boy's anger at the fox stealing the fish, and he chases the fish as well. He chases the fox, as well, doesn't he? So you can do lots of descriptive language in there as well about the way that he's moving, how are they both feeling. There's lots of different things that you can include in this paragraph, okay? So I've got the waggle again there, just for you can pause it, look at it, and then you can use that to refer back to when you are writing your own, okay? So just remember to reread your writing to check that it all makes sense. It's very easy just to keep writing and writing and writing and writing. Get to the end, think, oh, lovely, I'm done. But it's so important for you to reread over what you have written. Every time, to be honest, every time you've written a sentence, I'd reread that sentence, make sure it makes sense, and then go on to the next one. But you can do it at the end as well, just to double check that it all makes sense. Check that you have included all the things on the success criteria, so all the things at the start of this video, and make sure that you have tried your very best. Okay, I want to see some amazing writing. I want you to try your absolute best, and I can't wait to see what you've all completed. Okay, right, I'm back tomorrow to go through paragraphs 4, 5, and 6. See you soon.